The movie is set 16 years after the death of Marcus Aurelius, under the tyranny of twin emperors, Geta and Caracalla. Now in Numidia, we meet Lucius, who enjoys a simple life with his girlfriend Arishat. But moments later, a horn signals that the battle is about to begin, and they prepare in their warrior armor. Their leader Jugurtha organizes the army, and afterward, they proclaim each other husband and wife with rings. They are attacked by General Acacius, who, with his large fleet, instills fear and dread into all enemies, aiming to conquer the last free place in Africa. Lucius makes the first move before they even get close, and a mutual exchange of fire begins. Arrows fly in every direction as the fleet approaches the fortress. The general makes his appearance and cuts through the crowd, demonstrating his fighting experience. On the other side, Lucius does the same, but disaster strikes as he watches his wife fall hit by an arrow. Lost in thought, he receives a blow that knocks him into the water. Moments later, he wakes up only to catch a brief glimpse of her as his people suffer defeat. General Acacius is victorious once again as he burns the dead bodies, while the remaining survivors receive the brand of slavery. After that, they are transported to Rome, where their general is warmly welcomed after conquering Numidia for the twins who crown him. They want to hold games in the Colosseum for his conquest, but the general has only one wish: to return to his wife. However, the twins have other plans for him, namely Persia and India next. In the meantime, Lucius is assigned to fight. Here we see Macrinus, who is a sponsor of the gladiators, and now enjoys the view because their opponent is not someone ordinary, but wild monkeys. They are released, and Jugurtha surrenders without a fight as the first victim. Then Lucius steps onto the scene against the monkeys, who in a fit of rage, turns the fight with an unusual move that catches Macrinus's attention, a bite on the monkey's hand. Immediately after that, he shouts at it and then flips it over, winning as all the others join in. That evening, the general sneaks away from his guards and goes to see his beloved wife, Lucilla, who is the mother of Lucius, meaning that he is his stepfather. A warrior's journey continues as they are housed to eat, and the others imitate monkey sounds, making Lucius smile at his signature bite. Macrinus is here to choose a gladiator to represent him in the arena. Lucius has caught his attention and is a candidate to become a gladiator. However, he doesn't want to speak, and Vigo throws down his gloves to test him for battle. Lucius doesn't take them and receives a few blows before he enters a fair fight, which he ultimately wins. Just before the final strike, Macrinus stops him. Satisfied with what he has seen, he leaves to summon Lucius to his side. He will be chosen as a gladiator, but he must have rage in his fight, which Lucius claims he possesses because of his General Acacius, whose wife now scolds him for spending more time in battle than with her. Back with Macrinus, who now takes Lucius as his fighter to entertain the twins and increase his credibility. Lucius is announced as the barbarian who will fight with a sword till death. Right from the start, he leads by striking and knocking down an opponent who seizes the sword, while Lucius continues the fight with his bare hands, after which he is thrown over a table. But not for long, as he turns the fight in his favor with a stab in the stomach. Applause soon follows from the twins, who are impressed, and Lucius recites poetry, further amusing the twins, who congratulate Macrinus on this success and invite him to have his fighter perform in the arena. Later, he is questioned about where he learned poetry, and Lucius replies that he learned it from a captured Roman officer. He may have the general's head if he continues to perform his duty in the arena. That night, Lucilla meets with senators, where along with her husband, she plans to restore Rome on the final day of the games in the arena. His army is waiting for his command, an army of 5,000 soldiers. The plan is to arrest the emperors at the Colosseum for their crimes against the Senate and the people. The next day, Lucius travels with the other gladiators to the arena, where they notice a wolf representing the symbol of the twins who are in power, as they were once outcasts. Then the wolf found them and raised them, raised by animals in their blood. When they arrive, they pass through the Colosseum where thousands of gladiators have been before them. As everyone settles in, Eventually, the twin emperors appear, who are holding these games in honor of Rome's victory. They are joined by the general and his wife, from whom the twins request a speech to the loudly applauding crowd, while Lucius watches angrily. After the speech, the gladiators are released into the arena to face the invincible champion, Gladiator the Destroyer, who sows fear in the arena. Gladiator attacks them all one by one, but seems not fast enough, as they all evade him. So he employs a new tactic where he catches one of them and eliminates him. Lucius now takes sand and throws it into the air as a rhinoceros charges at him, waiting for the last moment to sidestep it, causing the rhinoceros to crash into the front of the arena, trapping itself and creating a spectacle for the audience, especially for the outcast twins. Here Emperor Geta recites poetry by Lucius, which his mother continues, while Macrinus observes closely. The man continues the fight without his rhinoceros, but still possesses its strength as he knocks down young Lucius, whose fate depends on others. Lucilla prays for mercy, as does the audience, but he doesn't accept it and gives an unbeatable move to the opponent with his sword. The audience is pleased with these games, and Macrinus observes it all while devising a new plan. After the games, Lucilla remembers her son, where after Maximus died, she took Lucius further away from home because he is now the heir to the throne and some want him dead, while she must remain here. Now, after the battle, we meet Ravi, a doctor who fought as a gladiator in the past and earned his freedom, now healing Lucius and saving lives instead of taking them. Macrinus joins to praise him and encourage him for future fights. Immediately afterward, he goes to Lucilla, who has invited him since he is gaining influence by sponsoring gladiators, and she is curious about where he finds them as she cares for her son. Macrinus has now connected the dots between two of them, and so he drinks wine to celebrate. At night, Lucilla secretly goes to meet her son, who says his name is now Hanno and that his wife is dead because of her husband's army. He no longer recognizes her as his mother because the boy she sent away is dead. She admits that his real father is Maximus, after which he orders her to leave. Lucilla informs her husband and asks for help to free him soon, so he can survive these harsh conditions where he is forced to drain his strength. To make matters worse, Vigo forces him to work alone while the others leave, thus spending hours until he gets wounds on his hand that Ravi treats with vinegar. The next day, there is a battle in the name of Poseidon to celebrate the naval war. It's the Trojans versus the Persians. Their practicing skills come into play where Lucius leads them right through, and thus the battle begins hand to hand, with bodies falling into the water greeted by sharks. At one point, Lucius takes a crossbow to shoot the general, but is shoved back and misses directly between the emperors. Macrinus enjoys every second of it, and also his team has won. After the games, Vigo asks who shot the arrow, and everyone raises their hand individually, defending Lucius, who says that thankfully the arrow didn't hit him. After that, Senator Trax learns of the plan to dethrone the emperors and informs Macrinus, to whom he is in debt, and he says that one gladiator will be rescued from the arena tonight. After that, the general prepares with his troops for this, but he walks into an ambush prepared for him. Lady Lucilla is escorted by guards, and they are brought together before the emperors, who are furious, proclaiming that his name will be forgotten. Emperor Caracalla takes a sword and intends to execute him immediately for this betrayal. The emperors leave, and they thanks Macrinus as he rises further toward the top. Emperor Geta has already decided to kill the general, but Macrinus convinces him to introduce him into the arena as a gladiator so that the Colosseum can decide his fate. Lucius is again treating his wounds with his doctor and sees that one name has been erased in the Colosseum. That name is Maximus. Ravi takes him to the place where the rebel gladiator dies, and they bury him here, like Maximus. His armor brings back memories from childhood of his only encounter with his father. The next day in the Colosseum, the general is summoned to the arena as an enemy of the people. His fight begins with 4 guards who are his easy targets, but not with his next opponent, who has promised the general's head and awaits his revenge. Now it's between the Roman traitor and the barbarian hero. Filled with rage, Lucius attacks and has no intention of slowing down. The general retaliates, saying he knows his identity, and throws down his weapon, surrendering to the emperor's mercy, who demand his death. The general states that he knew his father, Maximus, and would give his life for him. Rather than killing him, Lucius withdraws and surrenders. At that moment, the archers enter to fulfill their task and eliminate the general. Lucius protests against the audience for how they treat their heroes, and they now stand on his side, rebelling against the emperors. Macrinus advises them to get to safety inside. Then he has a conversation with Lucius, who did not uphold his bargain to kill the general, saying that it was because they brought another gladiator and not a slave. That evening, unrest among the people is rising, and Macrinus goes to the twins, who are arguing over these unfortunate events, and he suggests that Caracalla leave the room to calm the situation between them and goes to help him with it. Caracalla says the problem is that nothing is his, everything belongs to them, and they must share. Macrinus further fuels the fire between the brothers, where hatred grows as chaos erupts on the streets because of the feuding siblings. Caracalla approaches his brother with a blade in hand, accusing him of spreading lies against him, and attacks him. At that moment, Macrinus appears, and Geta asks for his help, but he kills him with his brother's hand. In the meantime, Lucius receives a visit from his mother, who gives him a ring from her father, Marcus Aurelius, which later belonged to Maximus and then the General Acacius, and now goes to him. Now Emperor Caracalla assigns his first consul, who will manage the military and civic functions of the empire, appointing Dardas, his pet, to everyone's surprise. For the second consul, he chooses Macrinus, who starts his speech by displaying the head of the second emperor, and everyone submits to him as he touches his new place. Moments later, he goes to talk with Lucilla, boasting about his success of having been owned by an emperor and now controlling the entire empire, showing a mark that originated from her father's reign, and soon she will be executed. Lucius, who is also imprisoned, wants to send a message to his army in Ostia through Ravi, and there he delivers the ring that his mother gave him to General Darius and tells him to prepare his army, revealing that his name is Lucius. Ravi takes the ring and gives him the keys to freedom. Ravi leaves as quickly as possible and delivers the message, returning with the army. Now Vigo comes and announces that this is his last fight, showing the wooden sword of freedom that he must first earn. Lucius takes a sword and attacks, finishing off Vigo, while the other gladiators fight the guards. Lucius then takes his father's armor and sword, gathering the other fighters to give a speech for them to join him and fight for their freedom outside these walls. Now in the arena at the games, the emperor has left Lucilla in the middle of the field. The gladiators emerge, which is suspicious to Macrinus, who is also receiving news that the army is approaching them. The chaos spreads from the arena to the stands, while the emperor remains in his place. Macrinus prepares to eliminate the other twin, and afterward, he shoots Lucilla with an arrow, after which he departs, and Lucius follows him. It seems now that he is captured because the Lucius army has already arrived, and he draws his sword as he approaches him, and they both fall into battle together. Macrinus makes the first move and leads the fight, knocking young Lucius into the water, in which he himself dives to hit him multiple times with the sword, but his shield is impenetrable. Lucius, using a stone from the water, turns the battle, slicing off his arm and then his insides, causing Macrinus to fall into the water while both armies observe. Lucius emerges from the water, holding a speech addressing both armies to unite and avoid bloodshed, and instead to live together peacefully, as his father and grandfather once desired. That night, Lucius returns to the arena to visit his mother's body, kneeling in the sand and taking it in his hands, where the movie ends.